How do you?
Let's talk a little bit about your Russian first-round pick. Um, um, how much have you actually laid eyes on her, and how much of it was video?
Yeah, second round pick.
Second round, excuse me.
15th.
Your first pick, of course.
Yeah, the 15th pick, overall pick. We had eyes on we did not have eyes on, but we had eyes on the player. We've known that she's been playing for a long time at a high level. Recently, obviously, with the idea of sort of positionally, athletically, for a young talent. You know, this is somebody that really, really hungry to play in the WNBA. No European obligations right now because they're unable to compete, and so she just loves the WNBA. It's really an incredible story. She went to a number of games, EuroLeague games, watching Dynamo, of course, and became a WNBA fan at a very young age, which I love. You know, the story of the WNBA being around for so long, and then this young person dreamt about playing in the WNBA because Nneka Ogwumike and others were there, and you know, she's modeled her game, you know, after some WNBA players. So very enthused by you know, sort of her desire to be here in the WNBA and play.
What does that timeline look like for you, in terms of get her over here to take a look at her? How long do you think that'll take?
Unclear. Perhaps it'll be expedited if President calls Putin. Might have a good shot at sooner rather than later.
I mean, do you look at this as an investment in the future?
No. We expect her to be here.
Okay.
I don't know how long the immigration part of it will take. You know, we have an idea of what these, you know, could be a little bit later in camp. I don't think we can expect by the start of camp.
Right.
But the expectation is that she will be reporting.
We were looking at a highlight reel, and obviously you can't really tell, but she looks like she has some pretty nice footwork to go with the athleticism.
Yeah, athletic. I think the thing that we really enjoy about her is, again, just, you know, her aggression, you know, her energy, you know, in terms of the way she plays, but her cutting, her efficiency at the rim. Young player trying to develop the three ball. Just, you know, competitively playing against pro players for a really long time.
Right.
So I think and I think it's led to her confidence that she has about playing in the WNBA. So
19 years old still.
19 years old. Yeah. So what would be like a sophomore, junior in college?
I mean, have you ever had a 19-year-old in your camp before?
I mean, I'd have to go back. I mean, I might have, but nothing comes to mind right now.
Does the fact that she's been playing like at 14 representing Russia, and I mean, does that season her maybe more than a 19-year-old might be seasoned at this point?
Yeah, I think that's the thing about Europeans is that, you know, that when they don't go through a college system and they've been playing professionally, you do get a mature athlete at 19 than what you would get an American player because of the, you know, their system of club teams and then, you know, the national team, et cetera. I mean, it's, you know, she's playing on the best team in Russia and is a key part of that team. And I think she knows who she is right now. She doesn't play outside of herself, and just, you know, again, wants to learn, and you know, has a pretty high ceiling.
At this point, what is her game? I mean, is she primarily an inside game? Is she a slasher? Is she? I mean, can she stretch? I mean, it's kind of hard to tell.
Probably in the immediate, you know, when she comes here, what she'll be comfortable doing is defending, running, rebounding, slashing. Her instincts for cutting are good. I think developmentally, like, I think she's comfortable playing the small forward, but I think that, you know, in terms of if you look at ways to improve and help yourself, I mean, certainly shooting, you know, will be a need to add.
Can you talk a little bit about the acquisition of Carly and what you kind of, you know, she'll be competing obviously for a spot. You know, what kind of prompted you to pull the trigger on that one?
Yeah. Carly will be on the roster, not competing for a spot.
Okay.
We'll be on the roster. We made an aggressive trade. And we just felt like for 2025, the team that we want on the floor is putting our best foot forward to get back to the finals and provide us the depth that was so vital to us. Obviously, the shooting, the hard-nosed, you know, comes, you know, with you know, two coaches that we have on our staff now that have coached her and had hands-on really, really high on her. And so we're excited. I think it kind of, was a piece that, we had, pursued through a fair amount of the off season, and then there was finally an opening, and, timing wise, and we had the asset to be able to do it.
She kind of gives you some of the shooting you lost with
Yep.
Chechi going to Golden State,
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Yeah, that was definitely on our minds.
You had to acquire an asset to get this done, right? Because you didn't want to give up your own pick. I mean, you needed to get another pick back before you could
Yeah,
give up your
I
own.
think we were, obviously when we asked what the return needed to be, we considered a number of ways to get what Washington wanted, and ultimately the path led to, our pick in 2026, and we just weighed, obviously you don't know the future. Would it be nice to have multiple, first round picks for sure? But we tried to balance the idea of the 2025 team that deserves our best foot forward as well as the future. So
So
we
you-
were pleased at how that turned out.
Sorry, but so you're clearly going for it this year.
Why would we not? That's the mode that we're in, right? 2023, we were saying not too long ago, we were going to develop some young talent. And then 2024 happened, and so now we're in that window of all in.
With Carly, kind of an interesting career. I mean, she was undrafted, right? And
Yep.
she played for a bunch of teams, didn't get a lot of action
Yep.
the first 5 years, and then kind of found her footing.
Yep.
Was that just an opportunity thing, or did her game grow? I mean, you
Her game has
watched her
grown.
play, right?
Yeah, her game has grown. You think a little bit like an Allie Quigley, although it didn't take Carly as long as it did for Allie to kind of take hold. Players like that have such a will and a passion and a work ethic, and a really special skill of shooting the basketball. And then marry that with maybe opportunity and systems, et cetera, that fit. So timing is everything, and really incredible that you go not too long ago, you're a replacement player, and now a team's trading for you to be a part
Yeah.
of what we hope is a contending team.
It's kind of hard for you to go through a draft without taking a UConn kid, isn't it?
I thought that might be asked. I think we set a record tonight. Apparently, it's our 9th UConn player.
That's correct.
Yeah, is that right? Yeah. So certainly not intentional, guys. We don't go into a draft going, which UConn player are we gonna take?
She's been kind of slowed by injuries the last couple of years.
She has, and so still dealing with some stuff, and we'll manage that situation. As once we have those conversations with her agent and with her.
I saw the Washington kid play a couple times against the Gophers.
Yeah.
Very efficient player.
Yep.
Is that,
What we like a lot is a post that plays away from the basket, and she does that well. She plays in a system that where she's doing a lot of screening and ball handling at the top, and I like her pursuit of the ball. Rebounding wise, she's a smart player. Just brings really good energy wherever she's involved. She's super excited about the opportunity, and Lindsay and Rebecca were the two that really had us keying on Lay, and we'll see. I mean, obviously it's hard. Rosters wise, do we keep 11? Do we keep 12? She'll be given an opportunity. That's a space that we're really looking for competition and see who can make the most of it.
How do you decide between 11 and 12, or is that decision made?
Yeah, I think it's probably once you get into camp and see what direction it goes and see if it warrants maybe some of the things that go with having a 12-player roster.
Yeah, because you need to have some payroll flexibility in case somebody gets hurt.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
Just like an apologies for this, but is there any special considerations that have to come with bringing a Russian player over? I mean, given all the geopolitical things
Yeah.
going on in the world.
There's a lot of things that cross your mind. I will say that it crossed my mind, much like it crossed my mind a few years ago when we were going to sign a player from China. And I think the beauty in this is that what I learned, just in playing abroad and or coaching abroad, is sports are sort of the good in the world. It kind of takes you away from maybe all that's happening in that way. It's certainly not Laurie's fault what's happening.
Right.
And so that was one of those things that it was a slight thought, maybe a fleeting thought, and we just went forward with what we were doing.
Does it change just the red tape or whatever you have to cut through to bring a Russian?
You know, I'm unclear. As I said, it feels like maybe other countries it might be more difficult than Russia right now. So
Maybe it's the
might
top
be
one.
expedited,
Maybe, yeah.
you know. So, but we'll find those things out. Yeah.
Cheryl, what do you make of this year's draft class here? I mean, we get some pretty strong contenders here.
Yeah.
What do you make of where things are with the league right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's two questions there. What do we make of the draft? What we see is opportunities for good role players. It was that type of draft. It was obviously Paige Beckers. And then honestly, you know, everybody else, I know as much has been made of, you know, the 19-year-old French player, Malunga. There's some good players at the top, but I'll tell you, all of them, you know, they're solid players that, you know, obviously opportunity on their team and, you know, their ability to sort of grow in the space of being a professional basketball player. We'll look back in 5 years and we'll probably see, you know, maybe some second rounders that do well, maybe some first rounders that didn't. And as far as where the league is, you know, I think just continuing to, you know, add another face of, you know, in Paige Beckers. And then I think some personalities that will, you know, I think there's some, you know, some players in this draft, I think that will be similar to last year's draft, that it's more than just a one-trick pony. You know, there'll be a lot of players that continue to add to the growth of the WNBA.
Someone who's been so instrumental in basketball at the professional level in the state. I mean, obviously it's a different team you're going to play against her, but to see a Minnesota player with the top overall pick, what does that say about where women's basketball
Well,
is?
and obviously being Paige, you know, like it's been, you know, I don't know how many years ago, it was 2014 for me that I saw her in a gym at Lifetime. And, you know, obviously there's been a number of good Minnesota players, but, you know, for Paige, you know, the best since Lindsay Whalen, you know, like it's fun. It's fun for the state. But, you know, I know that, you know, the Target Center will be, you know, filled with fans, and we just want each time that she plays that, you know, that she learns to hate the Lynx for once. Yeah.
Coach, with where your roster stands now, what happens now as far as evaluating players who maybe didn't hear their name called tonight, and how much room on the training camp roster is there for any potential undrafted players?
Yeah, so the next step for the undrafted is to try to find an opportunity to maybe come to a camp that, you know, 18 players in camp, and maybe there's an opportunity for maybe somebody needs a position. And so that's the next steps. And, you know, we've kind of already jumped on those undrafted players. And right now that's what's happening. You know, there's phone calls and, you know, trying to lock those spots up. And in the coming days, you know, everyone's roster will be set for training camp.
Speaking of Whalen, how did she fit into the whole what you needed from scouting, from a scouting perspective? I mean, was she out there with you? Did you send her out on her own? How did that all work out?
Way was a very enthusiastic, wanted to be out and traveled a ton, both domestically and internationally, and was very involved, very plugged in to many of her college contacts. Really super helpful. I think her ability to evaluate is really good. I think her USA basketball experience in evaluating for teams sort of came into play too. But obviously, you know, she was evaluating, you know, high school players to be college players. But she jumped in. It was as if she's been doing this for a number of years. Really happy to be doing it, really good at it, really able to, you know, sort of succinctly, you know, what did she see and how does she think it will translate to the W. Obviously her playing days, really helpful. So a tremendous asset to us.